Tony Caine spent a decade as a professional rugby player. However, that's only scratching the surface of his story. He used his experience in athletics to build a system which allowed him to propel himself to be a successful entrepreneur and business coach. And now he helps his clients through a four-step system improve their lives, build wealth, and maximize their business potential. He joined me this week to discuss the system in greater detail and how all entrepreneurs can still be successful during this pandemic and beyond. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. You're ready, Tony? I'll welcome you to the program, and we're excited to learn all about your current entrepreneurial journey and your former life as a rugby player. Always great to see you, and thanks so much for making some time to do this with us today. Great to see you, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, mate. I'm excited to get stuck into a really good quality conversation.
As am I. So I will start you off by asking you just a little bit about your entrepreneurial spirit. I know that you've created a four-step system that allows people to sort of improve their lives, build on their business success, and accumulate wealth. So I'll start you off by asking, tell me all about your current business ventures and how it works to help people.
Yeah, so probably like most businesses, Kevin, it started accidentally and it was built, it's a bit of a culmination over time. I played pro sports and then that got taken away from me pretty early. And then I went to work for someone and then I figured out pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to live the lifestyle that I wanted to by working for someone. So I sort of forced myself into making a change into starting my own business. And I've always been very lifestyle based. So I figured out that having a business is great, but what it enables you to have in your life is better. So I've always been obsessed with finding out how people can have it all, you know, in terms of, you know, have a really good business. They can make money, but they can look after their health. They can look after other people who need help more than they do. And they can just have a sort of a holistic approach rather than just focusing on the money or focusing on the business, focusing on their health, how you can have really good balance in all areas of the life. And as a coach now, Kev, that's what I do. I help people. I've got a four-step system that I'll talk your listeners through of how they can implement, you know, success in all parts of their life.
Yeah, I'll give you the floor and talking us through the system and how it works.
Perfect. So, Kev, what I do is, right, I start off with knowing what I call what's your number, right? So I believe everyone has a number. Most people don't know what that is yet, but everyone has one. So, for example, let's take you, right? I say, Kev, all right, you tell me, okay, Tony, I want to live in this house. I want to drive this car. I want to retire at this age and I want to have this much money per week, right? You might say, okay, for me to live my perfect lifestyle, I want to take home $2,000 a week, right? Or it could be $10,000 a week or whatever. And then once you know that number and you know that if you can earn that amount of money, you can not only live the lifestyle that you want today, but you can invest in your future to make sure that you're always growing your wealth. then that number becomes your North Star, right? So we know that, all right, Kev, you need to earn 150 grand a year. So then what we do is we go, okay, we know that's first step done. Second step is we need to work on your energy and maximizing how much you can accomplish every day. So even though I'm a business coach, Kevin, I spend a lot of time with my clients figuring out how they can maximize their health, right? So ultimately, the better health you have, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the more that you can get done in a day. The more that you get done in a day, the more money you make. It's sort of as simple as that. So a lot of people have skipped over that whole health section and just have try to make as much money. But, you know, you don't want to be, I always say, you don't want to be the guy on the $70 million yacht with chest pains. You know, you want to be able to, if you're going to work so hard and make all this money, you want to be healthy enough to enjoy it. So once we've figured out what you want to earn to live the life you want, how we can, then we've looked at how we can maximize your health. Then we go into the business, which is step 3. And then we know what you need to earn. So then we just work out what we need to do strategically with your business to make sure we can maximize both what you turn over, and there's methodologies around figuring out what your competition are doing, what your products and services are, how you can increase your turnover and lower your costs at the same time to increase your margin and ultimately scale a really profitable business to generate the income that you want, Kevin. So that's step 3. And then once we've done that, then step 4 is with the income that we make from our business, how do we invest that to make sure that one day, if we don't want to work or we can't work for whatever reason, that we've got enough capital invested that's going to give us an income stream for us to continue living the exact lifestyle that we want.
And I know that you spent over a decade as a professional rugby player, and doing my research on you, I know that you also took some principles from your time as an athlete to be a successful business coach and entrepreneur. So can you tell me about that?
Yes. I found there's a big correlation between sort of professional sports and business. And the number one, I suppose, benefit that I've brought across into business life, Kevin, is just like discipline. So when you play professional sports, right, you can't have a bad day or a bad week. You know, you've got to be on every single day. And there's little things that you need to do to prepare to be at your best as an athlete. And that's, you know, health and fitness and diet and what have you, and rest and so forth. So I learned from being an athlete, you know, and I wasn't a superstar. So I don't want your listeners to think, that I was an amazing athlete. I was only very average, but I suppose I was there long enough to realize how important it is to have a lot of discipline. So my success in business has probably just been largely off the back of I've probably outworked a lot of my competitors. And when you play sports, Kevin, there's always goals, right? You want to win that game or you want to win that season. So I treat every year in business like a season, like an NFL season, right? The ultimate goal is a Super Bowl. So I look at my business and go, okay, what would be the Super Bowl for me this year, right? And if I don't reach that and I make the NFC final, that's still a good result, right? But I don't want to go, I don't want to bomb out and go, 1-15, that's a bad year. So I sort of take that sports analogy into business and go, okay, what would my Super Bowl look like? And then, like in a season, Kevin, you look at your draw and you go, yeah, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be easy. And I look at that like months. It's like, okay, well, whatever industry you're in, I do this for my clients. It's like, okay, so there's certain industries that are seasonal where you need to be like, okay, well, for this 2 months or for this 6 weeks, we know that's going to be Black Friday, or we know that's a really peak time in our business. So that's where we need to be on. And then there's this time of the year where we can rest so we can recharge. So that's probably the two things that I've benefited from the sports background. Kevin?
And tell me, I know that we're all living through an interesting time with this global pandemic. So I'm curious, from a business perspective and your personal perspective, What's the key, do you think, to jump-starting our global economy again?
And I think that there's going to be an emergence, right? I was talking about this yesterday, and I'm working on something now. Is a lot of people, if they haven't been wiped out, Kevin, they've been largely had to push the reset button. So I think that people moving forward who have either been wiped out and they're going to start a new business or have had to significantly change what they do, I think there's going to be more of a focus on doing things better, smarter, and safer. So in terms of kickstarting the global economy, I think that I don't think it's going to be an immediate kickstart. I think it might be a slower start. But what I would love to see is that these people who either run businesses now or are looking to start a business, they have things like pandemic plans inside their business, right? So if this comes along again, it's not going to wipe them out. So I talk about that a lot about that to my clients. It's like, okay, well, we need to hope for the best and plan for the best, but also plan for the worst to make sure if that something unforeseen happens that we can survive and then we can thrive. But Kev, I'm really bullish. Like you look at every single pandemic that's ever happened or every global financial crisis, the rebound has always been really strong. And the 5 years post the recession have always been really prosperous. So I think for people, they should be excited about the opportunities out there. But I would still say, make sure that you structure your business so you can protect yourself if the storm clouds roll in again in the future, which they will.
And I'm curious, when you work with clients, when we talk about accumulating wealth, once they start to accumulate money, what's the key, in your opinion, to maintaining that wealth and building sustainability?
I think if I have a thing where I've built a system where I think knowing your numbers, that's what I'm so big on. It's like I think 99.9% of the people out there that are trying to build wealth, they actually don't know how much they need. So to answer your question, if you know how much you need, right, to the dollar, like let's say if you said to me, Tony, I want to retire in 20 years and I want to have $4,000 a week, I could work out there, okay, well, you need to have $1.8 million invested, right? So then I could say, well, Kev, you only need to get X% return. So let's not take more risk than we need to. So to answer your question, I think that's the key. It's like, okay, understand what the outcome needs to be and then work backwards and work out how much risk that we need to take. Because the fact is, a lot of people, I think, Kev, have got themselves into trouble because they're taking more risk than they might actually need to take.
And Tony, I don't know if you know this, but we're right in the middle of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So I'm also curious to get your thoughts on how we better integrate individuals with disabilities into the workforce.
Well, Kevin, I think that, where I am at the moment in Australia, we have a company or an organisation called Nova Employment, where their job is to place disabled people in the workforce. And I do a little bit of work at the Children's Hospital, and I think it's just got to become more mainstream. And I think there needs to be more awareness for employers to realise that disabled people can work and have the ability to work and are actually extremely dedicated. So for me to answer that question, I think there needs to be more awareness and more like like it's almost like there needs to be more matchmaking, where it's like there needs to be an easier way for all these employers to go, here's all the jobs that I need, and then here's all the people with disabilities but are able to work, and then there needs to be a better way to mesh them together to introduce potential employees to potential employers.
That's how we met on Matchmaker, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so, Tony, I just want to go back to your time as a rugby player for a minute and ask you a two-part question. The first of which is, what do you miss most about professional competition, and how do you think the sport of rugby has changed since you left the sport?
To answer your first question, I think you miss the big moments. Like you miss running out onto a field and there might be, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, like, people there, and albeit it's immense pressure. Yeah, and to be honest, Kev, like I didn't reach the heights of the game, so wouldn't want to, give the impression that I was a superstar. But I played on some big stages, and sometimes if you can picture like running out to a stadium where there's 60,000 people and they're all cheering, you really miss that. That's like the rock star moment. You definitely miss that. When you work for yourself or in a company, even a big organization, you don't get those big moments like that where you can win a grand final and everything's on the line. So I definitely miss that, so to speak. That that's something you're very grateful for to have in your life. And in terms of game changing, like even since I retired, the professionalism, like I remember that when I was playing, like you could have a game, you could go out and have a few beers afterwards, and it was full time and it was professional. But right now, like it's the professionalism of it has gone to another level where, these athletes, they don't drink that much. They look after their bodies a lot more than we did, and the money, the money is considerably different to what it was when I was playing.
That money is what makes the world go around, isn't it? So.
Absolutely. If I could still do it, I would. But I don't think anyone would pay me for my services.
Well, that's why we have to have the power to be able to pivot. Absolutely, both in life and in business, right?
No, exactly right. It's that was when I retired from rugby. That was like my COVID moment for a lot of businesses, where I thought I was going to play rugby for another 10 years and make millions of dollars, and then I had an injury, and almost instantly my whole career was over, and I had to pivot really quickly. And fortunately, sometimes the best gifts come badly wrapped. Like I'm really grateful for how it's turned out. And a lot of your listeners will be too, that they'll look back on this COVID time and although it seems like it's the worst time of their life right now, I do believe that sometimes you have to go to this place to get to that place. And I feel like that what's happening this year, Kev, it's all like, I think everyone has a story, right? And I think this is just building a really significant chapter in everyone's life where they'll move on from this and get to a better place. And this is just giving them so much growth. Like, I think this is such a test for everyone that if they can get through this, they're going to be unstoppable, right? They're going to be unstoppable moving forward. And I also believe that the mental strength people are gaining, especially business owners, from surviving through this period, if they can then overlay that with a better strategy moving forward, and I think you get that combination of the toughness that they've gained from COVID plus maybe a more rock solid strategy moving forward, I think that their future is extremely bright. And that's what I try to coach my clients to is, let's not pretend COVID's not happening and we don't know how long it's going to be around for, but how do we make sure that if we're going to rebuild ourselves, we rebuild a better, stronger, more profitable and sustainable business model?
Absolutely. And Tony, I know that you live in Australia with your two daughters and your wife. So I'm curious to know what's the best part about being a dad, husband, and family man from your perspective?
Oh, it's everything, Kev. Like it's what I do it all for. And I think probably to answer the question in a different way, the best part about, for me, about having a business is the ability to be home with the kids more and have the ability to spend time with them. Like, that's, I think, if someone said to me, why would you start a business, you know, or should I start a business? I would say, well, absolutely. It'll be the toughest thing you ever do, but it gives you the ability to do the things that you want to do. Like I could, you know, like my daughter, you know, she's at kindy today, but yesterday she's at home all day with me. So I could work for 2 hours and go and play for half an hour and then work for another couple of hours. And I think that's the really cool part, Kev, about, yeah, and it keeps you motivated. I feel like if I didn't have a wife and daughters, I still would be motivated, but I would have to find a different purpose.
Self-motivation, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, what have you learned about yourself as a husband and a parent during the pandemic?
Oh, you know what? I could be better. Like my weakness is I'm a bit of a workaholic. So I've been working from home and I probably haven't done it really well because the computer's right here. I feel like it's okay just to duck upstairs and work for 2 hours. And so I've probably learnt that as a dad and a business owner and a husband, I need to learn to like be more structured with my time. And even though I'm working from home with COVID, I need to segregate work time and family time, where I probably just meshed it together too much, if that makes sense, Kev.
Absolutely. And then my final question for you, Tony, has to do with outside of work and your own family, what do you do for yourself to sort of get in touch with your inner self? What do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, it's a good question. So actually, it's funny you say that. So I love snowboarding, which is not an ideal sport for someone living in Australia. We don't have a lot of snow. I'm jealous of.
No, but I
I'm
can
jealous
give
of
you
where
some if you want to travel to Windsor.
Yeah, I know. But actually, funny enough, Kev, I am an NFL tragic. So NFL is my, I suppose, my hobby. I can't get enough of it. So our Monday for us it's Sunday in the States. So every Monday morning, I struggle to work because I'm watching all of the NFL. So that's my release, mate. If I can, if I'm not working or with the kids, I'm watching ESPN or pardon the interruption or around the horn. That's my sort of. But I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, which is not much fun at the moment.
Well, I'm a Detroit Lions fan, so I feel your pain and purpose every Sunday, buddy.
I saw your podcast on Patricia about does Matt Patricia deserve more time to fix the Lions? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be an impartial observer, but if you're asking me to answer that question, he would have been fired a long time ago.
It's funny, like I Detroit's one of those sites where I always feel with sports, Kev, I would prefer to go for it or to come last. I always feel like Detroit's one of those sides where they're happy just to go 8-8 every year, or 9, and like I almost wish they would go, all right, let's go for it, or let's suck. But at least they tried.
It's been the struggle for respectability for the last 64 years, buddy, but that's okay.
Yeah. Maybe one day there'll be a Detroit-Cincinnati Super Bowl.
Well, probably not in our lifetime, but here's to hope. Hey, have you got your wife and daughters into the NFL at all, or is it just simply something you do?
My daughters are, by virtue of, I annoy the crap out of them with it. So my wife knows what's going on because it's always on the TV, and we've been to a few games. My wife and I have been to a couple of games in the States, and when we can travel again, we'll be over to the States and hopefully get a few games. And we're dying to go to Whistler. My wife used to live there, and so that's on the
on the agenda.
As a business owner, there's always as a business owner, you always have goals, right? And that's one place I've never been that I would love to go to. So, but yeah, mate, to answer your question, I don't have a lot of time outside of running the business and looking after a couple of kids. But when I do, I'm usually ESPN is on.
Well, as a sports reporter at heart, I can appreciate that for sure.
But mate, it's been lovely chatting, and I hope that your listeners get something out of this. And there's, like I said, if nothing else, everyone I'm talking to at the moment, I just hope that they know that it's not the end, it's just the beginning. And if they have been wiped out or nearly wiped out, it's almost like it's a blessing in disguise, where if you've been wiped out, well then you're forced to start from scratch. So I would say, if you were wiped out, as probably as harsh as it sounds, there might have been a reason for it. So potentially, on the second time round, there could be the ability for them to do it a bit differently and a bit more strategically. And for your listeners, if they ever wanted to have a chat one-on-one, I have free coaching calls. They've just got to head over to tonycaine.com, and I have courses and coaching programs, but which can really help people get their mindset right and get a really clear direction of what their number is, and then what they need to do in their business to earn the income they need to live the lifestyle they want and to grow their wealth. But yeah, I think to sort of, I suppose, round it up, Kev, I think it's really hard to stay motivated in business if you don't know what you're doing it for. So as a business coach, what I do is try to provide people with A, the motivation, but B, the sleep at night test. I like to show people that it's going to be okay and help them sleep at night, knowing that if they just keep turning up, that the system will work itself out for them to give them the lifestyle that they desire.
Hey, Tony, it's been lovely chatting with you, and I always tell people that life is a constant game of connections, and this time certainly allows us to do that. So I want to thank you for your time and insight and for joining me today. It's most appreciated. Always great to see you, and thanks for a few minutes.
Mate, no worries, and congratulations on the podcast and the YouTube, mate. It's really cool to see how far it's come along in such a short time. So keep it up, mate, and I look forward to chatting again down the track.
Fantastic. Have a great day, and thanks for your time, buddy.
No worries. Bye, Kev.
Fantastic, Tony. We're done. Thank